Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video I'll be showing you all the latest additions to the collection that I added in April. I've got a bunch of CDs and cassettes and records and stuff here, so let's just jump right into it. And first off, we've got the debut EP Everlasting Perdition by Fear the Dark. This came out on Maggot Stomp Records earlier this year and is limited to 100 copies. This is some pretty heavy stuff, great vocals, unforgiving instrumentation. I'd say there's some hardcore influences on this, but for the most part it's pretty straightforward, brutal death metal. So if that's your thing, definitely recommend going and checking this one out. Alright, and then next up we have the Fatal Realm demo. This is the 2024 Days Records reissue. This was originally released by the band on cassette before getting the vinyl and CD reissue by Days. So the original demo is 5 tracks of pretty good hardcore influenced death metal, and those 5 tracks go pretty hard, I think. Now this reissue comes with 5 additional tracks that are remixes of the originals, done kind of like a hip-hoppy EDM style, and they're not good. They're not good at all. And yeah, I don't know, I think there's a time and place for mixing genres, but this ain't it, and they really missed the mark. I do recommend the original tracks of the demo, of course, but I'd say to try and pick up a version of this that doesn't have those remixes, because yeah, they're not good at all. Otherwise, the original 5 tracks, yeah, really good death metal. Go check those out. And next along we have the second Final Resting Place EP, Bound by Affliction. This essentially picks up where they left off on their first EP in 2024. It's a more brutal death metal with those hardcore kind of influences. Again, released by Days Records. This is another one worth checking out if you're into heavy slams and brutal death metal. Another good one. Alright, and now we've got Piquerism with their debut demo titled Piquerist. This is all the way from Mexico, released through Mouth of Madness tapes and limited to 60 copies. This is really heavy death metal with tinges of gore grind at times. The vocals are low and guttural for the most part, and at times they're even pitched down to get that really gory early Carcass sounding effect. There are 4 original tracks here, all of which are pretty mid-tempo, heavy death metal with some pretty groovy riffs, and they close this thing off with a Demilich cover. This is pretty good stuff, so yeah, go check it out if you haven't heard these guys already. Okay, and next up we have How It's Done by Pat and the Pissers, released this year through Romanus Records. I actually bought this on a bit of a whim after listening to the first song or two here on YouTube, but after listening to the whole record, this doesn't really hit it for me. That's not to say it's by any stretch bad, but it's hardcore punk that isn't particularly fast. There are some melodies that are probably a bit too cringe for me. Thinking of the song Big Hit when I say that, but there's not really a lot here that grabs my attention, unfortunately. But go check this out for yourself, make up your own mind, maybe you'll like it, and if you do, you should go support the band. Okay, and so now we have the Ligament demo, released this year by Headsplit Records. This is super gory death grind from the US, super heavy riffs, punishing drums with that typical gore grind sounding snare, lots of blast beats too, and yeah, super heavy down-pitched vocals just to cap it all off. This demo is absolutely fantastic, so definitely recommend checking this one out. I'll have a link below so that you can go to their Bandcamp. Alright, and now we have something I was fortunate enough to pick up recently, direct from the label, and this is a first press of Prying Sight of Imperception by Galvanizer, pressed on orange vinyl. This album is incredible. Kind of reminds me of their fellow countryman Convulse, but I've also seen other people comparing their sound to the likes of Entombed and Carcass and even Napalm Death. They're three pretty amazing bands to be compared to, I think, which says enough about this record really. So stoked to be adding this one to the collection, and if you haven't heard it already, go check it out for yourself because this is an absolute banger. Alright, and so next up we have an original pressing of Therion of Darkness, released in 1991 by Death Records. I actually already own an original pressing of this on CD, but was able to pick up the record for a relatively good price, so I couldn't refuse. But yeah, this is really good old school death metal from Sweden. It probably gets a bit overlooked since the band has quite drastically changed their sound towards a more symphonic metal sound, I guess. But yeah, this one's really good, so yeah, go check it out if you haven't already. Stoked to have added this to the collection as well. And next up, we've got the 2024 reissue of Ugra Karma's Blood Metal Initiation. This was originally released in 2001 by CD. Ugra Karma is cited as being the first death metal band from Nepal, which is pretty cool. Nepal probably isn't somewhere a lot of people would associate with extreme metal, so it's pretty nice to see representation of the genre coming out of Nepal. So this is probably more on the brutal side of death metal. The vocals are nice and low and guttural, but there's also some slight black metal or war metal influences on here as well. This is pretty cool reissue. Yeah, go check it out. Glad to have added this one to the collection. And moving right along, we've got Voracious Contempt with Exquisite Suffering. This version is the Corpse Gristle Records version. I think the tape was originally self-released by the band and only available at their EP release show or something like that. So glad to have been able to pick up a reissue here. So this is more brutal death metal, super chuggy riffs, lots of slams, lots of blast beats. These guys are obviously super influenced by Internal Bleeding, having named their band after the first Internal Bleeding album. I think there's also some Cannibal Corpse influences on here, particularly in the riffing. I think the cover is, a nod to the Bleeding. I'm not sure if you can really pick it up there or not, but yeah, pretty cool artwork nonetheless. Anyway, this is a really good EP, which I imagine will be in my top EPs of 2025 come the end of the year. So yeah, definitely go check this one out because it rips. Alright, and next up we have Where the Conflict Reaches by Japanese death metal outfit Hellchild, released in 1993 by Ritual Records. I haven't got a lot of Japanese death metal, especially from the early 90s, but this thing shreds, and now I'm going to have to go check out some of their contemporaries to find more amazing Japanese death metal. Leave any recommendations you might have down below if you know of any other bands from Japan that I should check out. But anyway, like I said, this thing shreds. Heaps of riffs, fantastic drumming, Gorguts-esque vocals, I'd say. There's so much to like about this record. Hellchild, Where the Conflict Reaches, go check it out, it rips. Okay, and now we have Polish brutal death metal band Decapitated with their 2000 release Winds of Creation, put out by Wicked World. This is another fantastic example of an album with brutally punishing drums. They're just non-stop, and the production really allows them to shine. The kicks come right through the mix and just hit you in the chest. They sound so good. This is also more on the technical side of things. There's lots of intricate riffs and licks, and they really do make your head bop along while listening to this one. But yeah, this is a great CD, and I'm only going to have to go check out more of the band because yeah, this thing rips. Okay, and next up, and the last CD for the video, we have Demented Ted with Promises Impure. This was released in 1994 on Pavement Records, and this here is the Australian pressing of the CD. I picked this up relatively cheaply, and I gotta say it's a lot better than what I was expecting to come from a band called Demented Ted. which really has to be one of the worst band names I've heard, particularly for a death metal band. But anyway, this is a bit of a hidden gem and a really good old school death metal album. There's lots of catchy riffs, the drums are tight, and the vocals are really fantastic. If you're into old school death metal, this is one that you'd really just have to go check out for yourself if you haven't heard it before. Alright, now we're getting towards the end, and next we've got an original pressing of the 4th Poison Idea album, Blank Blackout Vacant, released by Vinyl Solution in 1992. Now this is a great record. I think Poison Idea are one of the few 80s hardcore bands that managed to make it through the 80s without changing their style or sound too much, and was still quite successful. So yeah, really stoked to have added this one to the collection. It comes with all the goodies as well. Like there's the poster, inner sleeve, even comes with a bonus 7-inch. How cool is that? And for the last addition to the collection for April, we have the Meatmen with their 1982 release, Blood Sausage, coming out on Touch and Go Records. This is a pretty unique record in that it is made up of some really catchy hardcore punk songs that have some really questionable and juvenile lyrics. This is a real outlier, I think, compared to some of their label mates like Negative Approach, for example. And while you won't find any of the lyrics particularly meaningful or insightful, there's no denying how enjoyable and fun the record still is. So yeah, go check this one out if you haven't listened to it already, because you're in for a bit of a wild ride with this one. But anyway, that wraps things up. That's all the additions that I've added to the collection for April. Hopefully you can go check out some of these bands yourself and support them if you like them enough. But yeah, I'll leave it there, and yeah, thanks for listening to me. Cheers.